Write it down by hand. You know you remember stuff better when you write it by hand. Your sermon notes in church, your preparatory notes when you need to prepare for a speech or an exam. This is backed up by science and scriptures. Let me tell you why journaling works. When we write about how we feel, the part of the brain that is responsible for those heavy emotions, the amygdala, basically the one that my gender uses more, synchronizes with the prefrontal cortex, which is the part that is responsible for planning and reasoning and all these other things, basically being a reasonable and logical human being. What a miracle! And you'll appreciate the miracle even more when I tell you that what we find under brain scan is that when we're under all that emotional stress and emotional pressure or heaviness that we feel, the mid-single cortex is burned, fried, screwed, whatever word you prefer. But as we start to write by hand, the ventrolateral prefrontal cortex comes on and quietens the amygdala, regulating the emotions. That's the most that can go as far as science is concerned. But this brain interaction, affect labeling, which is what it's called, is why journaling works. It's also why the 2021 Stanford study revealed that expressive writing, which is the type of writing that we do when we feel stressed and are under a lot of emotional pressure, helps the brain recover from stress. Personally, it's like my brain interacts with my passion and my emotions as I write. Call it self-therapy, but it works. You will feel 100 times lighter if you try it. Sweetheart, write down how you feel by hand. Write down why you feel it by hand. Write down what you can do by hand. Thank you later. In very simple terms, what happens is the mind moves along with your emotions as you write. Because whilst the brain treats emotional suppression as unfinished work, writing completes it. In the words of Dr. Arif Khan.
Before we go into why journaling works, I just want to know if any one of you has ever practiced this before and can tell from your personal experience that when you write how you feel by hand and when you write yourself into possible solutions, or when you practice for something by writing by hand, you commit it to memory better, please let me know in the comment section. And of course, in addition, subscribe, the like button, hit the share button. Let's go back into why journaling works, scientifically speaking.
Think about it, when you write down by hand how you feel, sometimes you have to stop and really think. There's no space for you to lie. There's no doctor or therapist or psychologist to expose your nakedness to, as it were. It's you and you alone, so you can be truthful so much that you pour it all out, you let go of the baggages, and you just flow into exposing why you feel the way that you feel. Which takes me to the next thing. When you do this over time, you will soon be trained into accountability. When you write by hand, whatever it is, but say for example, how you feel by hand, you train yourself to be accountable. Think about what I just tried to explain to you and bring it down to practicing that regularly. You eventually will get to a point where, because you write this way, what do I feel? Why do I feel it? In the process, you'll expose the part that you played. And because it's documented, you will come back to it and see it later, and you'll realize the patterns that you have. You'll realize the areas where you need to do work. So over time, you become more accountable to yourself, by yourself, with yourself, and you train your brain and your hands and your mouth to react more intelligently than emotionally to situations. Isn't that all we need to do to take charge, really? You manage difficult situations better, you pause before you react, you think about what you're going to do before actually doing it. You've essentially taken charge of your life. Let's get vulnerable. Let me get vulnerable. I'm about to show you my notes from last year, because I do this at the end of every month actually. It's not journaling per se, or maybe we can call it that, but it's just something I found by accident that worked for me, and so I decided to continue. This is from November of last year. I'm just judging by the date next to the other page. And first I wrote, why am I unhappy? And then I went on to say, I'm dealing with an accumulated stress and ill treatment from work. And then I asked myself, what do you mean? And then I answered myself, my work is the reason I can't do anything outside work, especially my growth and ambition. How? I asked. And then I answered, a lack of structure and constant flip around work time, venue, duties. Number 3, I don't really want to share. And November of 2024, I have here, how am I doing? I wrote, they apologized and promised to right their wrongs. That took the offense off my heart, but I'm still guarded, knowing how the space works or knowing how they operate. It's a problem of structure and methods, nothing else. I went on to write blah 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 blah. This is March 2025. I'm so proud of myself and thankful to God. The habits I was wary at in January were standardized and even optimized in March. I didn't allow any excuses, not tiredness, not distractions. The embarrassment and disappointment that I felt towards myself by the end of March have been lifted. Dudulewami, my YouTube rebranded, will kickstart in the first week of April. I've managed to create a team of 4 people and will conclude with an editor ASAP so that we're a team of 5. Between me and you, the reason I got here is that my February and January notes revealed a pattern. People could do things to me and people did do things to me, but I allowed it get to me. I could decide not to entertain them, which was where I now managed to get to by March of last year, 2025. This is what I mean by not only healing yourself, effectively self-therapizing when you write by hand, but even better, training yourself to be accountable and taking charge of your life. I don't know if you guys want to see more, because I know human beings like gossip. Reviewing May 2025. I generally feel good and I thank God for that. I'm learning so much about myself, my faith, my goals, tendencies, and sometimes through hurtful experiences, other times just being schooled. I'm at peace, most importantly. That's perhaps just how life is. Things are largely the same as April. Sometimes it just feels as though the more I try, the more obstacles I need to deal with. For example, I got an editor to save me time, but I've paid not just money, but even more time than I intended to save. He never delivers the job on time, so I'm left anxious, and on top of that, he won't do the things I ask. So we spend years effecting the corrections. It's almost like I'm editing it myself. I'm tempted to edit the videos myself, but the time, and I put the face there like, maybe I'll give it another trial or try a different editor, which I eventually did. Again, accountability is me. If I'm finding it hard to work with somebody, it could be me, the person, or both of us. Can I try with someone else? Which was what I talked myself into. I eventually did that and mwah! Adex, that one is for you. I went on to talk about keeping boundaries strict with the editor. Maybe not every relationship needs leaving an open door, blah, 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 blah. Basically, you get the gist. Beyond the gist, get the gist. Write down by hand. You will see the previous notes and see the present notes and know when a problem is in your hands to solve. And you will actually talk yourself or write yourself into taking steps to solve them. I wonder if I should show you guys my tracking notes as well. The one where I'll write by hand the things I need to do for the day. I'll date it, I'll write out all the tasks, and then I'll take off whatever I've done. It's popularly called the to-do list, but I don't like to call it that. I don't like to call any of the things that I do whatever is generic. I worry that it takes away from the reason I'm doing it. I want to do it because it works for me. Whatever the content is, whatever the process is what I associate myself with versus the title. I think the title subtly puts a bit of pressure on you to do it. For example, the to-do list. Now you have to run with it. Oh, I haven't done it, I have to take it. Versus I have a list, I need to do it, or maybe I should do it, I will do it. I do it, I tick it off. I'll display some of that on the screen. There you go. That's the date. These are the things I did. This I didn't do. You see what I'm saying? And then I carried over some tasks. And by the end of that week, I realized, oh, I was pushing over task A, B, C. Why? Was I worried that it was too difficult, or was I just being lazy? Was I procrastinating? I talked myself into why and now what to do. The structure that works for me, and you may try it, it may work for you, it may not, but you'll eventually come up with yours, is what am I feeling? How do I feel? And if it's negative, I go on to ask, why do I feel it? And eventually I break it down and I talk so much and I get to what can I do? The final thing, let me tell you why you commit nearly everything to memory when you write by hand. When you type, sweetheart, words flow from the ears to the hand, bypassing the brain except the part that you require for spelling. Essentially, you're like a human machine. And I'll cite you a 2014 experiment by Pam Mueller and Daniel Openheimer. The experiment was on the quality of learning on Princeton students. Half the subjects were told to write by hand, the other half to write by typing or to record by typing. And they did this over quite a reasonable period of time so that they could really test the quality of retention and giving back when asked. The students who wrote by hand scored 20% high, and that's not even where it gets interesting. The people who typed actually recorded more. They had longer notes. Is somebody saying quality over quantity? They had longer notes, which goes back to what I was saying. You're like a human machine. And even when midway through the experiment, they said to them, oh, you don't have to type or write verbatim. You just need to record. The human machinery of it was so automated that they just went on to type as they heard because it was reflex. But persons who wrote by hand wrote thinking about what was said, shortening it sometimes, or writing it in their own words sometimes. So they had shorter notes, but they captured everything that was very important. Eventually, when neuroscientist Audrey Meer decided she was going to take it up, put the brain under scan and watch the process, what she found was that under close monitoring, neural networks fired everywhere around the brain and in perfect harmony when people wrote by hand. So every part of your brain is engaged, the part that requires you to be thinking about what you're hearing, and the part of you that may agree or disagree with some parts of what was said, and your own opinion, and you eventually maybe form a debate, and this happens in just a few seconds. Essentially, you meditate when you write by hand. You meditate on the things that you write, which they didn't see in typing. So in the phone during service, in the tablets during service, write it by hand. Do you want me to show you my service notes from church, which I eventually go back to read? No, I won't. It's in my book. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that with this video you see reason to start writing more by hand. To see more videos of this nature or even better ones, go to the Can I Talk to You series on my YouTube playlist. Do subscribe, like, share with people. Otherwise, YouTube doesn't appreciate the quality of this work.